Sitting here feeling sorry for yourself, get out there and support your teammates. And you know, Dennis Leamy went on for me and had a tremendous game. Like, and you know, just I think that was something about our team. We just supported each other to help.
Tomas O'Leary. Ireland almost there. Forward.
You know, it's to have the courage to go and try and win something rather than it being handed to you. It wasn't your traditional cup final of everybody tucking the ball up under their jersey. It was just two courageous sides going after a trophy.
They were going to the Grand Slam defending champions. You knew Warren Gatland was going to have that team up for whatever reason.
Certainly we felt as though we had the lion's share of possession and territory in that first half, and we just didn't convert our opportunities. For them to go in 6-0, it seemed a little unjust.
We were playing a really good side on their home patch too. So to go in, you know, 6 points down with the second half ahead wasn't the worst place for us to be.
We even spoke, I think, in the dressing room at half time about that, because there was none of us out of breath. Like, you know, we were in the game. We had played a lot of the rugby.
The calmness of the coaches, the players.
Stay confident and our opportunities will come.
We were very confident that we would come out of the blocks second half.
You know, the Irish team is lucky that we have a few exceptional leaders. So everyone knew where we were in the game, what we needed to do. From a team's point of view, you nearly come out a lot more buoyant because you know, hold on, we're in touching distance of taking a lead in the biggest game of our lives here.
European champions in the second half.
I think our respect for the players would be such that there's enough experience in them to know that every match is the same. Gert would talk about test matches are there to test you, and each one tests you in a different way.
I mean, the best thing you can do for morale is not team building or going out together, it's winning games. And, you know, the Six Nations is, you know, one of the biggest competitions we can play in.
Tommy Bowe, and Tommy Bowe's got pace. Boy, does he have pace. Tommy Bowe.
The ball popped up and into my hands, and I could always see shadows all around me. I just didn't know when I was going to get tackled.
The whole tournament was a growing process because all the different teams was throwing different things at us.
The players have always said that Italy is probably the most physical game of the year. So they know if they're not right for that, they can lose any game at any time.
So many guys have stepped up and set the tone. You know, I remember you put in a couple of massive hits, Fez, and some big carries by some of the boys. And
As well.
did you?
You think back to some of the key moments in the Grand Slam. I think a key change was in the defence. You go back over the defence of the previous few years under Ireland, and it's hard to remember one standout game in the previous 6-7 years where Ireland were offensively defensive, where they got tries from turnovers, from intercepts and so forth.
There's no one at home, and it's try number 5, and O'Driscoll.
But we've got to give England credit for providing Ireland with probably the toughest test they've provided any team with defensively.
England poses a different challenge, and I remember leading up to the game reflecting on how they took Australia apart in the World Cup, you know, at the breakdown, at the scrum, in the tight phases. And, you know, it was crucial we went to that area.
Knowing that if you win this, then suddenly you're into a semi-final, final scenario where, you know, it's really in your own hands.
England were so good defensively that day that they just couldn't be penetrated. Their midfield defence was like a brick wall, it pushed up hard, they took the space away.
Sometimes defences are so stoic and so up for games, it is difficult to break them down, and we had to make sure that we kept our own defence solid.
Les Kiss doesn't give much away in his interviews about what his defensive system is about, but from what I understand, he allows what he calls shooters. So an individual, often Brian O'Driscoll, can make this decision to leave the line and envelop the ball carrier, and from which they might get a turnover. And they did that several times. They were very good at winning turnover at the breakdown, probably the best of any team in the Six Nations.
That game was a bit of a blur to me. Drico, I think, got a bit of a hiding, didn't he?
I had a bad headache for a good part of the second half. But it was another one of those very, very physical games.
fantastic seminal moment when they go down the left, when O'Driscoll is taken out, and he's down getting treatment, and Ireland have a penalty, and they could go for the posts. But the senior lieutenants, O'Gara and O'Connell, and it was a very much collective leadership in this team, and you need that kind of experience, they took it upon themselves to go to the corner.
And O'Gara has declined the 3. And they go for the corner in the crowds, and we all know...
It was a real game where, you know, we needed a real leader and someone to, you know, to grab the game by the scruff of the neck.
Took like 3 late tackles in a row, but he still kept standing up.
His try was probably the memory that stood out most for me. It was, we had to work bloody hard for that try.
Sees what's up next. It's O'Driscoll! Ryan O'Driscoll!
It took a lot of guts for him, you know, to get over the line.
He's just so low, like, it's incredible.
You know, what you want from a captain is step up to the mark when it's called for, his ability to read the game and just put his body on the line.
Delivered today by his extraordinary courage and willingness to put his body on the line for his country was quite incredible. An extraordinary example of what Irish fortitude, courage and sheer bloody-mindedness can do for this country.
Ireland should have won that game a little bit more convincingly than they did. And the main reason, and he probably would admit as much himself, was Ronan O'Gara's place kicking, because Ireland could have been out of sight going into the last quarter had he taken his kicks, and I think the match might have evolved differently.
I thought kicked poorly that day. It was disappointing because at international rugby, obviously, you need to take those chances. You know, we would have been devastated if we'd lost that game.
Ronan O'Gara is having a shocker with the boot.
I mean, all you can do, I mean, he had an off day. He missed a few kicks at goal. I mean, all you can do is to try and encourage and give him some trigger points to keep working on during the game. And one of the most pleasing factors for me that he kicked a late one in that game, which, you know, all what's gone in front of him, missing probably 4 kicks, which in the last 6-7 years playing for Ireland, I say he's never done. So to have the strength of character, you know, and the confidence to take that last kick on and nail it, which turned out to be a very crucial point. It was pleasing for me, and it showed a lot of strength of character of him.
Probably one of the most physical games I've ever been involved in. I suppose I can highlight it by just the dressing room after the match. You know, you've just beaten England in a very, very important match in the Six Nations in Irish rugby history, because we're obviously on course for a Grand Slam still. And there wasn't a peep out of the players in the dressing room. There was no high-fiving, no singing, no celebrating even. Everybody was just shattered.
I just remember the change room coming in, that the boys were just couldn't stand up. Blood, tears, everything. I mean, it was a massive game.
There's something special about England from an Aussie's perspective, but to feel what I felt leading up to that game and enduring that game, and the joy on the players' faces afterwards, you know, it's special. Having an Ireland jersey on, being part of an Ireland team, and coming up trumps against them.
They wouldn't be human if they weren't subconsciously aware of the fact that this team, the core of this team, mightn't be getting a whole lot more many chances to win a Grand Slam. Throughout the Six Nations, Ireland effectively won the Grand Slam in their third quarters. If you add them up over the 5 matches, they're actually behind at half-time in total points difference, but they absolutely blitzed teams in the third quarters.
You just need to encourage them to go out and play. This thing just wasn't going to happen. Wales were playing for a championship, you know, they were playing for an awful lot of things themselves. You could say if they get one more score, they can win the championship, because the points differential then comes into it. But you just stay positive and say, look, we just need to go after this.
I didn't even know the score, to be honest. Didn't know the score at all.
Yeah, 6-0 down, I don't think was a big problem for us. I don't think we had a lot of possession and we had a good bit of territory. And I don't think we were overly concerned.
You know, it was crucial that Ireland went out and scored first, and you know, I think that was mentioned at half-time, that we needed to be the first team to go out and put points on the board, whether it be a penalty, a drop kick, or a try, which would have been the perfect scenario.
Tomas was gone. He was obviously had been tackled, so I played scrum half off a ruck. Popped it to Paulie, and Lukey was on his shoulder.